And I'm going to talk about safe method we propose for developing enterprise virtual assistants. I'm Yi Zhang, the founder of Rul.ai. I'm also a professor in University of California, Santa Cruz. In this talk, I'm going to introduce, explain what's safe, and when time to value and return on investment are important. Safe method will make a conversation AI project more safe and more successful. And I'm also going to illustrate how we can do safe and show some demo bots that build based on this principle and what are the business metric we can achieve with this method. Okay. Let's see. So when we look at virtual assistant for enterprise in Rul.ai, we actually consider they are enterprise digital AI workers. They have big potentials, can be deployed in different business units for different use cases. For example, in sales and marketing, they can improve conversion rate, drive high revenue, lower customer churn, and the virtual assistant can manage sales funnel, gather data, nurture needs, and provides personalized product recommendations. And in customer service, they can also drive dramatic improvement in operational efficiency, provide better customer experience, and reduce cost. They can also support employee virtual assistant in IT help desk, can manage incidents, troubleshooting in HR, can recruiting or employee onboarding, and so on. Because we think of them as digital AI workers, then it's very natural for us to consider what kind of virtual assistant we should build based on the virtue of digital workers. If we look at digital workers, right, think about AI and human. They have a lot of in common. In order to understand the AI virtual assistant, let's look at good employees. We think good employees, when we go to hire them, we want them to be smart. Besides, we hope the employee can utilize his smartness or her smartness to take actions, get things done. Employee should also be fast learner who can learn quickly, contribute to the company after joining. And we don't want to spend months or years to train a new employee. We also want the employee to be flexible, right? We think AI workers should also be smart, action-oriented. They should be able to learn, communicate, and understand, make good predictions, take actions in the world like human employees. And that's why we propose the SAFE method as a guidance for developing virtual assistant for enterprise. And based on the SAFE method, the enterprise virtual assistant project can systematically develop AI workers resemble the virtue of human workers, so that the worker will be smart, empowering actions to get things done, and the AI workers will be fast learner and be flexible based on extensible technologies. And what smart means, and that means the virtual assistant needs to behave according to certain normal convention of human interaction in order to make them understandable, right, and useful. And to do that, you need to be able to handle variations of natural language and handle the variations of conversation flow. That actually makes it very important for them to have a smart, very advanced dialogue manager, can handle things that sounds very easy to virtual assistant for human to do, but challenging, like handling multiple intents expressed by human, handling mixed initiatives where both human and the machine can lead the conversation. They should also be able to handle context switching and so on. I will show you a demo later. Okay. And besides, the virtual assistant, besides being smart, which means the virtual assistant has a good brain. And we also want the virtual assistant to have a virtual body, like human we do, to take actions so that they can automate tasks and business process. This can actually be achieved by combining conversation AI with RPA or API calls. And we also think the virtual assistant should be fast learner, right? Like new employee do. They should be able to read company's existing knowledge and then begin to understand things be able to answer questions based on existing companies' knowledge, no matter they are in PDF file format or in existing companies' websites or in existing companies' database, right? They should be able to carry multi-round conversation based on existing standard companies' business process. And they should also be able to automatically identify use cases, generate training data themselves by analyzing historical conversation transcripts between human or between human and machine. They should also be able to acquire knowledge as needed. The virtual assistant have those ability will be fast learner. The next thing is virtual assistant should be able to be extensible. Maybe your project starts just with one channel, for example, a website virtual assistant. But as a company, you want to provide a good service. You want to provide a consistent and personalized experience for customers or employees across channels over time. So the virtual assistant should be able to integrate seamlessly with every customer touch points. For example, including inside the car, voice over the phone, text messaging over the phone, or on your website, or on your social media page, or even over email. The virtual assistant you shouldn't build like 7 different virtual assistants for different channels. A single virtual assistant should be able to have the memory, handle all those different channels, have the memory to maintain the state across customer journey as the customer switches between channels. So it can serve customers in a way that best work for them over time and switch channel quickly in case of channel disruption. And so those, when we combine them together, that's called SAFE. And with SAFE, we can have a good project in short term and in the long run. So how to achieve SAFE? Here I'm using Rul.ai conversation solution reference architecture to illustrate how to support the SAFE method. Here is architecture. In the middle, we have what's typical for conversation AI project system, right? We have natural language understanding to handle variations of conversation and natural language. We have dialogue managers. Dialogue manager need to be very advanced in order to handle the variations of conversation flow, like multiple intents expressed by user in single term, mixed initiative, context switching, mixed tasks, and all those things together need to be handled by dialogue manager without virtual assistant designer to think about those tedious things. And then we have the next turn response generation. Okay, and then to empower the virtual assistant to be smart, and to empower the virtual assistant to learn fast, we have this AI knowledge center. We have the AI knowledge center not only be able to handle typical intents and task flows, but also be able to utilizing companies' existing database to answer questions from the customer. Companies might have quite a lot of documents like PDF files, doc files. Company also have their websites and so on. The virtual assistant should be able to quickly digest those information and to help. And besides, the virtual assistant should also be able to identify use cases, generate training data, acquire knowledge, identify gaps, so that it can learn quickly. To be actionable, we have here, and one major component is called action adapter. And it will extend the virtual assistant to connect with other enterprise systems through RPA engine or JavaScript cloud and standard API. Those are the things we support. And here, to be extensible on this side, in order for the virtual assistant to extend, we have this what we call Omni-Channel Engagement Center. With it, the virtual assistant can support Omni-Channel, integrate seamlessly with voice and text-based customer touchpoint. The virtual assistant can maintain state across customer journey and as the customer switch between channels. And Omni-Channel Engagement Center is not just integration of the channels on the product level. It also need to have AI level channel integration so that we can optimize for different channel out of box and have default channel-specific conversation strategies. There are quite a lot of common standards for human when we talk across different channels. For example, on voice channel, when we have difficulty to hear, we may say, can you be louder? We may want customer to wait, say, hold on. A customer might say, can you wait for me for a few minutes? Things like shouldn't be worried by the bot designer or bot builder. Those omni-channel engagement center need to manage those channel-specific conversation strategies, and also have pre-trained channel-specific AI models. Not surprising, right? When you go to email channel, the conversation is large, while if you go to social media channel, the conversation will be different. And voice channel models are also different. So the omni-channel engagement center need to support multiple channels, not only from the product level, but also from the AI level. So as you can see, those 4 major components actually supports the core parts of SAFe. So what we can get from SAFe, here I'm going to show you some demo. In the first demo, I'm going to show you a virtual assistant.
This is an example of an e-commerce virtual assistant. So to start this conversation, I can just click on the widget. And today I'll be a customer whose tire got punctured and who's wondering about the warranty on it. The virtual assistant is able to provide an answer. And actually, this answer is from existing content from the website. Now, I want the virtual assistant to find me stores near me to get my tire changed. And then it asks for my zip code. So here I'm going to switch contexts and just change the thread of the conversation. I'm going to ask if there are any discounts for right now. The virtual assistant can check if there are discounts. Looks like there are none for now, but it's designed to sign people up to an email list for those interested. And here I've already digressed from the original find a store flow, but I want to know if the virtual assistant here can recommend me tires for my F-150. It asks for my vehicle year, and then it shows all the different trims that apply to this year, make, and model. Finally, it asks for the tire size that I want for my vehicle. We can take from many websites the product filters that exist to create questions to help the customer find what they're looking for. Here are the results of tires that fit my vehicle. It's presented in a carousel of cards. This can be customized as well. And if you click on one, it will take you to the product page. And if you notice here, the virtual assistant also provides recommendations based on the results shown. Rul.ai has its own recommendation engine, and we can leverage that to provide customers with recommendations on which results to strongly consider. Now, I'm interested in the LTX MS2. I'm curious in its load capacity. Here, the virtual assistant is able to take the customer's question and turn it into a query for a product database. So here we have the different attributes of the LTX tire, and there's the max load per tire data point that I was looking for. So I'm good for now. The virtual assistant remembers that there's still unfinished business. It's bringing me back to continuing the email newsletter sign-up flow. And now it's bringing me back to the original flow of finding nearby stores. It says it'll redirect me to a store locator page on the website, but I'll skip that for now. A customer satisfaction survey is presented. This is also templatized. I'll just give it my feedback here.
Okay, I hope this example illustrates several things I mentioned. One is the virtual assistant is smart enough when user is leading the conversation or doing context switching. The virtual assistant can follow the user, and multiple tasks are mixed together. While the virtual assistant has the memory to remember unfinished tasks and automatically go back. And all those are driven by the outbound manager without designer or builder to worry about it. So those smart ability are out of box. And another thing is, as you can see, there are several questions which we call tail questions, and the designer of the virtual assistant doesn't know those questions. And actually the answers are either in the website or in some database, the product database. And those tail questions can be answered by having an integration with the database. The virtual assistant can automatically query database based on the current conversation, go to get information from the website to answer the query. Those knowledge empower the virtual assistant to cover much more use cases. And also those information can be quickly integrated into the virtual assistant.
This is an example of
in the next example, I'm going to show you what Extensible means, an Omni-Channel virtual assistant. In this demo, I'm going to illustrate how we switch channels, how the virtual assistant can remember a conversation as we switch channels.
Thank you for contacting Rul.ai Health Center. If this is an emergency, please dial 911. How can we help you today?
Hi, I want to make an appointment.
Based on your call and number, I have located your patient profile. For security purposes, please tell me your date of birth.
It's March 14th, 1989.
Great. Thank you, Noah. What kind of appointment would you like to schedule? Primary care or urgent care?
Primary care.
Let me look this up for you. Dr. Smith can see you at 1 p.m. on Wednesday. Will this time slot work for you, Noah?
How about Thursday?
Dr. Smith is available the following Thursday at 11 a.m. or 1 p.m. Which time do you prefer?
One works.
What is the reason for your visit?
It's an annual checkup.
Has your insurance information changed?
No, but my address changed.
What is the zip code of your new address?
It's 90015.
90050. What is the street number and name?
No, it's 90015.
Okay, 90015. Correct?
Yeah.
What's the street number and name?
631 Valencia Street.
631 Valencia Street, Los Angeles, California. Is there an apartment number?
No.
I am confirming your Rul.ai Health profile address changed to 631 Valencia Street, Los Angeles, California 90015. Your medical appointment with Dr. Smith is scheduled for 1 p.m., Thursday, March 18th. Please arrive 15 minutes before your scheduled appointment to allow time to check in. Dr. Smith's office is located at 1421 Wilshire Boulevard, Suite 650, Santa Monica, California 90403. Would you like to receive an SMS with this information at the number you're calling from? Message and data rates may apply.
Sure.
Is there anything else I can help you with?
No, thanks.
Now we are switching channel. It's the same virtual assistant serving a different channel here. Okay, I hope this illustrates you can actually has one virtual assistant switch channels. The virtual assistant actually has the channel-specific strategy for different channel. We also have been working with other companies where they start with email channel, then they begin to expand in other channels. And most of the customer, if they start with one or two channels, or companies start with one or two channels, in the long run, it's very likely you want to serve customer across channel, so we can offer omni-channel, omni-channel solution. And so what we can, to summarize, and here are the last slides I have, what the SAFe method has enabled now. We have seen more than 70% resolution for our customer. And when the virtual assistant has been launched to be virtual sales assistant, we see assisted sales revenue 2x, and the customer satisfaction is more than 80%, sometimes is even higher than 90%. And the virtual assistant, some virtual assistant can be deployed in days because you can just integrate with your existing database and knowledge, instead of, I know some project takes months and years. Thank you for your attention. Now it's time for questions if you have any.
Thank you, Yi. Yeah, those are very interesting talk and a great demo. We have a number of questions from the audience, and guys, feel free to jump in and ask as many questions as you like. People are saying it's amazing for many different ways I could respond. So, the simple questions. And let's see. Let me find a good question here. Okay, so how easy are these bots to deploy, and how much time does it typically take to get going?
So that's where the fast comes in, right? For example, if you want to have a virtual assistant for your products, support for your product, you can just upload your manual, then you have the virtual assistant in day one. And then you can spend a day or 7 days or maybe a month to modify the persona of your virtual assistant. But the basic knowledge can be there in day one. And there are, of course, if you are not doing product support and manual support, then there are some other use cases, like, for example, pre-sales in e-commerce, post-sale e-commerce. If you based on, we have, as I said, the virtual assistant can automatically identify use cases and so on. If you have historical human transcript, we can automatically generate use cases, automatically generate conversation flows, and automatically generate training data out of your human transcripts. Then that will greatly help speed up the process. Of course, your website also has quite a lot of information, right? We have a website crawler to crawl your website to get not only FAQ, which is typical, but also business flows from your website. And those business flows can automatically generate multi-round conversation, so that you can actually get a virtual assistant in day one, but it may not be the one you really want, because you need to customize it for your company's persona, tailor it for your company's image and so on. That's why we also recommend you spend like 7 days to a month to modify the virtual assistant. Of course, if you want to build some business flows and tasks that's very customized, then you can use the drag and drop design console, which I think some of the platform offer. And we also have to build it.
Nice. So Brittany asks a great follow-up to this. She wants to know, can you elaborate more on how Rul.ai helps automatically ID the use case?
So there are several aspects AI can help. We have built a component which we call discovery servers go to the human transcripts. By analyzing human transcripts and based on the redundancy of human agents has been answering questions for the customer before. We could identify, oh, here are the top use cases. here are the typical flows of how human handle those use cases. And for different intents, here are the training data from human transcripts that for those intents. And so that can be automatically generated from human conversation. And another component is the mobile information extraction component, that a component that go to a website of the company to simulate how user interact with filling forms and doing things on the website, and then dig out the business flow of the company. For example, what's the business flow for applying for a loan, right? Applying for buying insurance. Those business flow are exposed in the website. And those business flow can be used to automatically generate the conversation flow. But of course, you need the human designer to make the conversation flow more user-friendly and carry the persona that your company wants. But AI can help a lot, because the key part is getting training data. That part is could be very expensive, but AI can help. And generate flows, AI can help.
I see. Okay, and follow up to that is, how do you weave the information from a product database into a conversational tone and even voice? Is this something that still needs like a conversational designer to be a part of this process?
No, you don't need a conversation designer. You just integrate the database. You let the platform, the virtual assistant be able to access the database. Then it automatically analyze the schema of the database, understand the rows, column, metadata of the database, and automatically identify like, for example, entities and things in the database. And then when user just talk with the virtual assistant has the ability to automatically go from natural language into database query, and to, for example, issue SQL query to the database to retrieve the results. So conversation designer doesn't need to worry about anything, except to give the virtual assistant access to the database.
I see. And so we have a question, one last question. And, I think he just withdrew a question. But I think it's a really good one. And that is, how do you use this in different languages? How do you scale it?
So there are different ways to scale in languages. One is some of models. There are actually quite some models we train for different major languages we support. But of course, for a scale to all kinds of other languages, we do use a combination of standard machine translation, but integrated, but greatly influenced by language-specific knowledge base. Out of box, machine translation won't work well. You need to modify those things.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many differences in languages.
Yeah.
You know, the type of expressions people could say that just will never translate well.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Yi, what's the best way people can get in touch with you and follow up with you and get access to your presentation?
You can access my presentation. My email address is yiz@rul.ai. So you can always contact me. Then you can just search my information online, connect me on LinkedIn, and asking questions. Also, I have to run now, but I know you also need to kick me out for the next speaker. Thank you for having me here.